Dr. Robert Shiepe from Custodian File out of LA. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Robert. Hey, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
being on the channel and for giving me your time. A real pleasure. And for me, you're the guy that really started all of this research off properly. Um, you know, publicly wanted help with it, asked for help with it, and hopefully I can be of some help to you. But yeah, welcome to the show. Everyone wanted to see you on it, to be honest with you. In the UK, it's the UFO topic isn't as big as it is in the US, and we need to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. We need to hear what you found, why you've looked into it, all these different things. I've got so many questions for you as well, and I'm sure the audience, if you check the comments after, they would have asked a lot of questions as well. And I hope that there are people that watch this that haven't already watched your show, because again, it's those people that need to hear what you've got to say. So, tell me just off the bat, where did you grow up? Where are you from? Just briefly, you don't have to go into too much detail. But
Okay. Well, amazingly, it's really simple. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. Very few of us, very few. Born and raised, and for whatever reason, even I'm still baffled. At the age of 4, I knew I'd be a scientist. At the age of 10, I knew I'd be a pharmacist. And frankly, I never looked back. I never had a second decision. It was like I was hypnotized, you might say, by aliens by a very young age. And that's all I ever had on my mind. And that's exactly what I did. That's pretty much, I mean, to oversimplify, but I knew at a very young age why I was here and what I would be doing. And, in between, I was a hard worker, worked my way through college. I actually started a air conditioning business, a window air conditioning business. We still do it. There's a paper, I think it's gone nationwide, but there's a paper out here. It was back in the 70s. It was called The Recycler, where you could put free ads and you could sell anything you want. It was very handy. I'm sure, that's been replicated all over the world. But so I would buy and sell window air conditioners. And ironically, I did really well. And I learned some new science, how air conditioners work. And and by the time I made it through my junior college and then went to pharmacy school, graduate school, thank God I had enough money to prepay my 3 years of pharmacy school. So I wasn't really a starving student, but I always worked, hustled, and stayed laser focused. And to this day, got out of pharmacy school. I ended up opening the first mail order pharmacy in the United States.
wow,
I specialized in infectious disease being pretty much anything that's infectious. Hepatitis, HIV.
covers a lot, right? Broad spectrum.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I serviced the whole country, as in, I'm sorry, I'm always listening to airplanes when they're flying by.
I get
But
it.
I serviced the whole, yeah. And while I'm talking to you, I'm watching Plane Finder to see if there's any Navy helicopters coming in.
I want to apologize actually for not doing this last night. We had this arranged for last night, but like you, I don't know when to stop, and I just went into the night and then into the early hours of the morning, and then by the time I got round to meant to be doing this with you, I was so tired. I don't think I had the brain capacity for it, so I apologize. But thank you again for giving me your time. And yeah, I get it. That's why I say I get it, because it's hard to switch off. Anyway, carry on, Doc.
But amazingly, yeah, I started so in the first mail order business, and it's ironic. It actually is relevant to what I'm doing now, because in 1986, I was told by many experts, it's impossible, it cannot be done. What you're doing, there's no such thing as a mail order pharmacy business. It cannot be done. But none of them were pharmacists that were telling me this. They were everything else but pharmacists. And I said it can be done because there's logically you can do this. I don't see where the roadblocks are. And fortunately, that's when the fax machine was just invented in 1986. That's when next day UPS delivery was just invented. 800 numbers. I was able to get a vanity 800 number for my pharmacy.
Brilliant.
I wrote a letter to every infectious disease doctor in the United States. I told them, I can take care of your patients. Call my number, faxing your prescriptions. Your patients will have their medicine tomorrow morning anywhere in the country.
Wow.
And not only was it possible, but it became very big. And I got copied by 1,000 other pharmacies.
Sure.
1,000. So after 25 years, I said, I had enough of this. I've done very well at that point. And I said, I got to go. I need to retire because the stress was really breaking me down. Ironically, a lot of things had to go right for me to actually make the discovery of these fast movers, these small UAP fast movers. A lot of things. It just wasn't just, you run into a gas station and you buy a lotto ticket and you win. It wasn't like that. It wasn't. So a lot of things went right. So during the pharmacy era, I met this very gifted person, which we could talk about later. What's the word? A mentalist, a psychic, a time traveler. And he would say, Robert, let me share some information with you. And this guy was next level. He was almost not human. His name's Glenn Falkenstein. You can look him up. He has his own channel, Glenn Falkenstein, but not to leapfrog and jump around too much because UAP dragons are kind of complicated as it is. So I don't want to
Yeah.
like I'm all over. Yeah. So we'll keep it simple.
Yeah.
But basically, retired 2012, and then 5 years later, out of the blue, I'm just sitting on my balcony. I have a view of all of Los Angeles up on the hill, overlooking Marina del Rey. It's really spectacular. I'm really grateful about this. And the summer of 2017, out of the blue, all at once, the Coast Guard and the Navy Blackhawks flew in 200 feet and hovered over the boats. There's 5,000 boats in Marina del Rey. It's the largest marina in North America. Keep in mind, I'm only operating with knowledge of 2017. The concept of,
I mean,
are they
you
looking
didn't
for
know what was going on, but you knew that there was military going past, and that's not ordinary. And I think a lot for residents, even if one Chinook goes past a home here, everyone's at the window going, "Oh, look, a Chinook." They don't know why it's there, but they just so to see multiple would ring anyone's alarm bell, even for a second. Just have a look, right? But so that's what happened with you essentially.
100%. Except in this case, they hovered at 200 feet for 4 hours, and they did that every day for 14 days.
I mean,
So I finally said, wait a minute, let me grab my camera. This is just not normal. Let me record them.
mhm.
Knowing what I know now, I would have recorded them in the first 2 minutes, but I waited 14 days. I recorded them, and then I went back and looked at the video, and you could see these little objects flying up to the helicopters. So the point is, obviously, the Pentagon knew about this in 2017. They probably knew about it in 2016, and they came up with a plan. And then maybe a year later, they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And they obviously can see these dragons, the heat source, the IR, flying not only over Marina del Rey, but all over the world. But for some reason, Marina del Rey is infested. So it was easier to spot them.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Plane Finder, again, what you could do, and what I do is I'm always looking at other parts of the country. Being the scientist, it's My question is, if it's happening in Marina del Rey, it's logically it's happening somewhere else. So my point is, I would look for clusters. Again, you look for clusters of helicopters,
Clusters of the tracks, yeah.
of especially military helicopters, and you can assume that this phenomena is happening, for instance, in New York or somewhere in Florida. But it wasn't, it isn't. This is where the Pentagon put all their research, all their money, all their manpower. Enormous. It's phenomenal. If
Wow.
and some of your viewers are watching, they go, "No, Robert, this would have been in the news. They're mistaken."
I don't want it to be in the news. Why would it be in the news though, right?
Well, right, right. So I could tell you, in the last, it's going on 7.5 years, military, or I could say government helicopters, because the fire department and the police are government also. So there's, how many times have they flown in to look around? There's two answers. There's an impossible, truthful answer of 46,000 sorties, 46,000, but that's too hard to accept and to believe. So I only say 15,000 because 46,000 is incomprehensible. I recorded all of them. I was here. I saw it go down. And not only did it stop with helicopters, there was 3 major research vessels, and you can look them up. The Ocean Investigator, a Decisive, and the USS Gabriella Gifford, Navy warship. They are all parked here, right here in front of the jetty rocks.
Conveniently.
What if you looked out your window and you saw the Royal Navy right in front of your balcony?
Yeah, that you'd be you'd be like, well, first thing anyone would say, what the hell's going on? And then you would have about 3 different logical reasons, as to why that must be, but none of them would be right, from a standoff, any normal perspective, none of them would actually be right, and then you'd forget about it 3 days later, right? Like that's what happens.
Correct. That's what happens. That's human memory. Fortunately, I documented everything on video. So, and I did screenshots. So, for what it's worth, I want to keep it simple. There's something called Vessel Finder on the internet. Vessel Finder, where you could just find out the name of any ship in the ocean anywhere in the world. That's how I know the names of these vessels. I just look at Marina del Rey and it says Ocean Investigator, the Decisive, USS Gabriella Gifford. Like, whoa, this is next level. But so if anyone ever really wants to seriously investigate this, I have I have more video, and it would take 10 professional editors 30 or 40 days to review all my video. It's massive. This is what I've been doing every day for 7.5 years.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have the time. I'm retired. I have the money, and I have the knowledge, the intuition to follow through. And yeah, so at this point, and I did sit down with a famous celebrity 5 years ago. I told him what was going on. Everyone would know his name. I mean, it's not top secret, but but I did sit down, and he said, I'm going to go talk to the mayor, and I'm going to go talk to the police and to the sheriff and to the fire department. I'm going to ask them what they're doing here. Why are they flying in Marina del Rey? And he did, and that was 5 years ago. And last year he went on the YouTube, and he said he confronted the pilots, and the pilots very quietly they said that these things are annoying, and they fly up to our aircraft, and we are very annoyed, and they left it at that. So it was a soft confession.
Yeah.
I think I sent you the video, Robert. I think I did, but it it's out there. If it's really out there. If anyone's dying to know, just send me an email, custodian file. Uh, they could get a hold of you, get a hold of me. But this is all documented. This is not theory, conjecture. It's nothing like this. Is really hard science. So in the last 7 years, I've sat down with the intel community. By some miracle, I got to have a sit down. I've sat down with the Air Force twice. I've been on the Discovery Channel, Fright Club, uh, contact with the Vatican. SETI came to my house, came to my balcony.
Wow.
I told them, here comes a helicopter. Turn your phone on. And they did. They recorded it. We played it back on my big screen. And the guy standing right here on my balcony, he's looking at the big screen and he's going, I just recorded this. What's going on here? What is that object? I just recorded this. I could tell you, I could even tell you his name. He just recently passed away. Nobody knows this, but the guitar player on Earth, Wind and Fire from the 70s and 80s, Sheldon Reynolds.
Right.
He came here. He gave me his card. So let me even say, does it even say SETI on here? I don't think he puts this on his card, but here we go.
Wow. Yeah. Sheldon
Yeah,
Reynolds.
Sheldon Reynolds.
Wow.
So when he walked in, it's like, he goes, Robert, I'm part of SETI. That's why I'm here. I said, okay, I didn't know that, but that's fine with me. So my point is, I've told everybody I can, and I do have my own channel, and I've been on, probably 1 million people have seen the interviews. They're doing their best to debunk it. They're like, well, Robert, these are bugs. So the first year I know this had to be a bug. It has to be a bug because there's no other logical choices. You got a better camera, you get better lenses. And then it got to the point, it's like, why are these things flying around basically only when the military show up? That doesn't make any sense. And then over the years of research, you realize when these things fly, they fly behind aircraft. They will trigger the X and K band spectrum. I took a car radar detector, attached it to my camera. They trigger the radar spectrum. They leave an audio click on the video. When they fly behind a metal pole, you can still see the silhouette, the ghost silhouette of their ship itself, of their small image.
Yeah. It's like what was there in that split moment. It's like a cartoon, right? It's like a cartoon. The way these things work, like the movement, what they leave behind is like a trail, like Roadrunner, right? And when they use this electricity, this magma or plasma, it creates the X-ray, like you would see a skeleton in a cartoon holding onto an electric wire, and then you got this X-ray of their body. It's
100%. 100%. I know there might be some scientists watching right now, and they're going, no way, Robert, that you figured this out. There's no way you could be correct. NASA, the universities would have figured this out a long time ago. It would have. There's no way that it just can't. You can't be correct. My point is, I heard that 1986. That's 39 years ago. That the mail order pharmacy was impossible. So I understand if you're saying these small UAP dragons are impossible. Please press pause, avoid summary judgment, look at the evidence. The evidence is overwhelming, just overwhelming. And other people are recording these all over the world. It's keeping me busy full time. It's busier than I want to be. I never thought it would be this busy. I still, once in a while, I do VIP consulting work in pharmacy. And actually, they pay me a lot of money for it. And I don't even show up. I don't do it now because this is more important. This is more important. This is for humanity. I'm trying, well, both of our, a lot of people are. We're trying to get the word out, expand consciousness.
Yes.
Something's going on. Something's going on. The government knows 100%. You could pretty much assume a lot of the governments know. And for some reason, they're like, don't say a word, never bring this up. Under any conditions, don't bring the. But it's not realistic anymore. You can't. They're all over the world, and people are recording this every day.
Yeah.
They love air shows.
Anything with a bit of a roar, they love it. Even Ben in Cornwall and his motorbike, right? I mean,
That's right.
what's
That's
going on
right.
there?
You know what it is at this point. I would be very reluctant to take a bet and say dragons are everywhere except right here. Or you're in a parking lot riding your bicycle, they won't be here. I would not take that bet. I would not make that statement. I used to think there's one dragon per square mile on planet Earth. Google says there's 200 million square miles. I think there are a lot more dragons than that. A lot more. So yeah, granted, there's a lot. This is a new science. There's a lot to take in. It sounds like a lot. It's kind of easy. Just watch some of the videos. They repeat. You start to see patterns very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. And believe me, when a dragon flies up to the camera and the radar goes off, there's really not more you could say. Now, so far, I am the only one doing that, and I've been doing that for 5 years, and I'm encouraging other people, and especially on the East Coast, this New Jersey stuff. If somebody could just take a radar detector, point it at the sky, and take your phone and record at the same time, you will document the same phenomena. It's happening, and it's super easy.
Agreed.
And at the same time, though, believe me, there's some very intelligent, there's a lot of physicists, scientists, attorneys are watching. They're standing around with their hands in their pocket and they're not saying anything. They're just pretending, We're just here to acquire information and not to comment on it.
For anyone that is watching that could do something about it, put me and Robert into a place where we've got all the tools we need to find out, and we'll do it, because at the end of the day, we're here, aren't we? We're here doing this because someone isn't doing their job at the end of the day. And we had this chat last night about scientists and how they can't accept what this specific phenomena is capable of doing based on the science we know. And I get it. I get they studied hard and long and invested time and money and effort into the degrees they have to be able to tell normies like me what that is and how that works. Okay, I get that, and I was saying to you last night, Robert, I thank them, because without their technologies to produce things like mobile phones, we wouldn't be able to film the skies and capture what we have, and so without that we wouldn't be here, and that's a fact.
Yeah. Oh, without all their academic achievements, yeah, the invention of the cell phone, we would have no video. So I'm very grateful for all the work they've done for literally for the last 120 years. And the 10 million scientists have gone to school to make the cell phone possible. I'm very grateful. But now the cell phones are here and they're recording these things and they're all over the world. So let's take the next step.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's
Open source.
figure it.
Every country, every person that's interested should be interested and doing whatever research they can, and it should be open open results, so that we can figure this out together.
All my videos are open source. Anyone can call me out at any time, Robert. I got 5,000 videos. I'll send them to you so fast, make your head spin.
Oh, you do.
Oh,
You do.
I already have them on links. So for each month, I have a link. So I guess 7 years, 7 times 12, maybe 100 links now, close to 100 links. Now, if you're the big universities, put all my videos in your AI computer, analyze it, put it under a forensic microscope, electronic microscope. Go ahead. You're
Don't be
going to be
afraid.
left shaking.
Don't be afraid, is what I would say, because it's not like we haven't sent this stuff to people before. Like you say, you've spoken to everyone. You've had someone come around and film for themselves. Um, I've said to someone, look, debunk this, and I'll quit the channel, because if it's rubbish, I won't waste my time. Right? Like, got better things to do. Instead, I've had to quit my job, that literally more than half my income, to come and do this, because some buggers out there can't do their job properly. That's what I'm annoyed. That's it. If they just accept what we're saying and start learning, I can take a seat back and you can retire, Doc, and we can do what we're meant to be doing, you know? Um, and and that's why the way I see it. But until we get to that point, until we push it enough, until people wake up, we have to keep doing this, right?
Well, the thing is, uh, 10 years, 20 years, when this becomes common knowledge, I'm sure there'll be people back there. I'm sure there'll be people saying to you and I, you should have tried harder. You should have tried harder to tell us. You were too relaxed about it. This is important information. This could save millions of lives with the technology, the better X-ray machines that we're going to be able to create because of their technology. We can make MRI imaging 5,000% more efficient.
That's just one
Amazing.
aspect.
That's just one. When you can have an MRI that's 5,000% better resolution, and it can snap an image in 5 seconds rather than 10 minutes.
Time,
You can
money,
diagnose,
yeah, accuracy.
you can
Just
you can diagnose things in 1 hour.
yeah,
It's just so, Robert, like, what are we waiting for? Why are we
and that's just
not
that.
in a
Yeah, never mind the endless energy that we could probably produce from this, of it when we eventually get it. No more metered. Well, that's it, isn't it? No more metered electricity, no more metered gas, because they, we won't need it, and that's where people lose pockets. And this is it. But you know what? If everyone records, if everyone shows the same results, if everyone contacts everyone that they need to, share the stuff that we put out, people like Robert can, like I say, take a step back and let the scientists crack on. And that's kind of what would, it's unbelievable technology. And if they've got it, which they have, if they exist, which they do, then we're missing something. The world's missing something, right?
100%. Yeah. And the people have a right to know. Maybe there's an assumption by governments that we can't handle the truth. We're not entitled to the truth. We're not important enough to know the truth. All that is from 1950. That paradigm doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't. They're really they're really just fooling themselves by telling themselves this false narrative. People don't need to know. They can't tell people and let people decide. I want to learn more, or I want to go get a pizza. Let them decide. It's
Yeah.
really simple.
It's like playing with fire, isn't it, really? Because it's going to come out in the end. It's like nature. You can't hide nature. You just can't. And the more lies that's kept, the longer the lies kept and the secrets hidden, the worse it's going to be. For them, surely.
Oh, Robert, it's eventually May not be this year, but eventually Congress or a lot of the newspapers will get together and they're going to go, hey, the Pentagon knew about this in the summer of 2017. What's top secret? What are you doing? Just what are you doing? Obviously, you cannot hide 46,000 sorties, nor can you hide the 3 major research vessels that were here. Boy, somebody's, the way that plays out, people retire quickly. Leave me alone. I quit my job. I don't want to talk about it. It's a tough conversation. It's a tough, you know what? At the same time also, Robert, I think people around the world will be understanding. They'll be forgiving. We're not going to scream that, you've been lying to us. Okay, you did what you thought was right at the time. So just, just tell us the truth now. We won't be a crybaby about the past. Just tell us.
I think
what
if it comes out now, that's the way it should probably go. But if we're sat here having this conversation in 2025 and they decide to let this out in 2050, then it may go the other way. It should, because the research has already started 7 years ago by yourself. So it's just time lost. I feel like if for them to have that respect for the people, they need to come out with this fairly soon. And I hope they do. And the people will be lenient, I'm sure. And like you say, for reasons me and you maybe cannot even imagine, maybe there's a secret for a very good reason. But like we can't, that's not something I believe they can keep under wraps for long.
It's happening. Just last week, there was a report from 6 months ago. Homeland Security was flying around San Diego in the daytime, 2:30, and a dragon flew right at them, pinpoint, like perpendicular. So the pilot was visually able to see it for 2 or 3 frames because it was coming straight at him. So the point is, and then the audio got out, as you know, and they were talking to the control tower at LAX, Los Angeles control tower, and they're going, hey, there's something flying up here at 20,000 feet. It just flew under our wing.
Was this on the LAX channel? Yeah, because I was actually watching that when it happened, because it was Biden's plane, right? They were refueling. Is that the one you was on about?
Well, that's another one too. They're so easy to record. No, this was September 2024. Homeland Security, San Diego. The dragon flew right up to them under their wing. The pilot started screaming to the control tower.
Well, the pilot was screaming to the control tower. So it wasn't the person recording at the below or anything like that. It was actually the pilot.
No. Right. Wow. The pilot visually saw it. The pilot said, hey, we just saw something like a football fly under our wing at 20,000 feet. And so the control tower says, let's look into it. Okay, we see something. We think we see something up there. The pilot says, hold on, because they were flying a very expensive, high security aircraft, Homeland Security, with very sophisticated radar, because they fly up and down the border, the Mexican border. And the pilot said, okay, we do have it on radar, because you just can't fly by a military aircraft and think they're going to ignore you. Mm-hmm. That's not realistic. So immediately they started tracking the dragon. And then at the same time, they're talking to the control tower. And they're saying, okay, we're trying to get a radar lock on this thing. Be with us, be patient. We're chasing it. And basically exactly 100 seconds later, the pilot of the Homeland Security said, okay, we see it, but it is 60 miles away, 60 miles away.
Yeah, incredible.
In 100 seconds. And when you do the math, that's 2,100 miles an hour, which is consistent because I've been telling people they're going 2,000 miles an hour.
Mm.
So that's pretty good. I mean, I'm not a NASA scientist, but my answer is essentially equal to the computers on military aircraft.
Yeah.
2,000 miles an hour. They triggered the X-band, and so there's only just a matter of time. You're going to get more and more and more stories like this. But in the meantime, you could take your phone, record a helicopter landscape sideways, look, zoom in 15% for 30 seconds. You'll see these things fly by. I
And
can't stress
not
it enough.
only those things, not only those things, because if we're truthful to what we see and we're truthful to what we show, we've had flying saucers, which is what I guess we would have to consider them different to dragons in a sense that we see a different type of intelligent movement with them, potentially have pilots, potentially. I mean, it was pretty vague picture, but it was the clearest we've had of a saucer, right? This is Ben in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma City, that's right.
Tell me a little bit
Very.
about this.
Okay, so Ben, about a year ago, year and a half, he's like, "Hey, Robert, I'm watching your channel. Very respectable, owns a very successful family business, very successful." He says, "Robert, I'm going to give this a try. I'm right here in Oklahoma City." I didn't know at the time, but that's where FAA headquarters, where they train the control towers. It's Oklahoma City. He starts holding his phone, recording helicopters, airplanes. He's recording dragons all over the place, one after the other, one after the other. After 6 months, he calls me. He goes, Robert, I just recorded a flying saucer. All of a sudden, right when he told me that, all of a sudden, his computer breaks. He can't email me anything. I said, Ben, keep trying. He goes, Robert, my computer is jamming. I type in your email and my computer just goes blank. For whatever reason, the UFO police did not want him emailing videos of a real flying saucer. The dragons are okay. Real flying saucers are a deal breaker. We will not let you do that. I said, don't give up. Ben, please don't give up. Keep trying. Send it as many times. I'll text you. I'll call you when I get the first email. It took a little while, but it did get through. I watched the video. I sent it to everyone. I sent it to you. It's one of the best flying saucer videos we have.
Yep.
It's relatively, it's like 70% clear. It's pretty darn
Amazing.
good.
Amazing.
It is. So yeah, you will catch real saucers, but for the most part, there's a lot of dragons out there. The theory being based on video, not just guesswork, but based on two videos I have, one from Palmdale, California, one from Canada. These small UAPs are escorting larger UAPs. They escort.
Yeah.
I have the video to prove that. And then, of course, once they escort a larger flying saucer, then their secondary function is to recon the planet. And believe me, when they recon, they don't play around. They recon everything. So they pretty much have everything memorized on this planet. Do not underestimate their technology. At the same time, because they're reconning everything, it makes them vulnerable and makes them predictable. We know where and when, how to find them. And that's why they're so predictable at air shows, because we know they are going to be at air shows. If you can't go to an air show, look on YouTube. Watch the Red Arrows, Thunderbirds, Blue Angels, whatever air shows. You will see them flying around.
Mm-hmm.
It really is that easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not complicated. You don't have to go out and buy a $10,000 high technology camera. Your cell phone is fine. If you don't have a cell phone, watch it on YouTube. free. It's amazing platform, and the technology is there.
Yeah. Well, we pull off
It's
so much from YouTube. YouTube alone, the amount of accidental footage that I show, yourself, John at Latchkey, it's
yeah,
just stuff that it's not meant for UFOs, but they're there, you know?
correct. It's not meant for UFOs, but they're in the background. Sometimes they fly up to the camera.
Yeah.
It is, and it's just again, as time goes by, math gets better, camera gets better. We're going to get better video, better accidental images. It's all accidental. So these new autonomous cars that are flying around, they're starting now to really get a footprint over here, especially where I live in Marina del Rey. They're pretty common. You can absolutely assume dragons are flying up to these cars because they want to recon them. They're like, wow, there's so many computers and camera on this car. I want to analyze it. The point is, the engineers at Google are looking at their videos. They're seeing dragons fly up to these autonomous cars. That story has not yet been told, but I'm sure it will come out. It's coming. Another thing that's coming, UPS, Federal Express, they're making deliveries with drones, earth drones. When you see them making more deliveries, take your phone out, record the UPS drone, record the Federal Express drone. You will see dragons fly by. It's going to get so easy, Robert.
I think it
It's going
already
to get
has.
so
I think it has. I
well.
mean,
It
the
is. Well, you're right. It's not hard. It's easy now, but it's going to get so much
yeah,
because when you have helicopters and drones all over the
delivering.
sky,
Yeah. What about where we think these things are holding up as well? Because where we see over the jetty rocks over in Marina del Rey, it seems to me like they always pop up from the ocean or thereabouts, and it's like they're just
really close.
waiting. They're just sat there situated somewhere waiting. And from my research, we've seen like one of these things virtually invisible sat on some grass next to someone's foot. And the only reason why we saw it move was because it moved to another location and suddenly it showed itself more, and then I was able to track the object for about 5 or 6 frames of the video. But it started
I
off right next to the guy's foot, and he wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. Um, it seems like they can just come either from underneath the ground, like you recorded. Where was that? Where was you go? Tell us about that actually. Where was you going with? It was with your wife, right?
uh, yeah, I was with my wife. We were on the 110 freeway going to downtown Los Angeles. Pay my property tax. I don't like to put it in the mail. I want to walk up to the window,
You're old school.
get a receipt,
Yeah,
old school. I don't want to hear that it got lost and
didn't
you got
receive
to,
it.
I don't have time for that kind of dialogue.
Hmm.
So I'm just driving down the freeway. I see the LAPD flying circles over the freeway. I say, I say to my wife, can you please record the helicopter? Sure enough, sure enough, it couldn't ask for a better video. Two orbs or dragons flying around, just flying around. One appeared to come right out of the ground and come at the car.
In between the
Just,
traffic.
yeah, yeah, just in between I mean, I'm always trying to explain it away. Remember, the first year, I said, no, these are bugs. These are not UFOs. I don't know that concept. Although I've been studying UFOs since 1975, it's like, these got to be bugs.
Mm.
So when I saw the white orb come out of the ground, come toward the car, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a white bird feather from a dove, a white dove. Maybe it's a soap bubble. It's got to be a soap bubble.
You went through the
But it's
natural
like,
motions in your brain, yeah? Yeah, they went through all the natural motions of what it could be, what it was you must have had an instant, oh, there you go. A dove feather.
maybe Yeah, maybe somebody took a cotton ball and threw it out their window on the freeway and it flew up.
Bounced and
I'm
flew
trying.
and
No. And then the other one was above, and you can see on the video it was like 200 or 300 feet in the air, just flying around, zigzagging. And then it flew over the car. The only problem with that is when it flew over the roof line, just like the roof line right here, when it flew over the roof line, you could still see the image, the ghost silhouette corona of the dragon because the gamma rays was penetrating the roof. I have 10 videos like that. So the point is,
mad.
you and I are giving everyone the combination. So this is not hard anymore.
No.
This safe can be open. This is not hard anymore. We know the code numbers. We know the code numbers to get into the bunker. So when you see these images, you'll recognize it and you'll go, oh, this is an X-ray. Okay. Keep that. Do a screenshot. Please share with others where those X-ray images are. We need to collect. It's collecting data. We need to collect the data. If you find it first, history will record you as being the first person to find that X-ray image. Even though somebody else did the video, you'll still get the credit because you found the X-ray image first.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
And
So share it.
that's what we ultimately want to challenge people today, and what we have been every day, right, is to not only record, but we challenge the public all around the world, in the US, in the UK, in every single country. We challenge everyone to pull your cameras out and find something extraordinary. Within, we've given you the baseline of what to look for, what to record, how to record. 15, 20%, stabilize as best as you can. Always film landscape. Test different cameras as well, different lenses, different megapixels. You'll get different results. And somewhere along the lines, me and Robert hope that one day governments around the world invest into technology to produce the right cameras so that we can take the next step. Until then, what we're pushing for is exactly that, investment for this, not for war, missiles, or any of that, just the right equipment so that we can look and analyze properly. That would be nice, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, with all these 46,000 sorties and 3 research vessels, and I'm sure they had hundreds of millions of dollars and sophisticated radar. It's my guess not one person showed up with a good quality camcorder, like an 8K or 12K, and just visually recorded in the human spectrum, color video. I don't think that's been done yet. It's for some reason.
7 years you've been doing this research and no one's bloody done it, at least not publicly.
Not publicly, no. No, not yet. But I do have people do reach out and they tell me like they work for the military complex, and they said, Robert, we do know about this stuff. Uh, we're just not allowed to talk about it, but we know about these dragons. We know.
Yeah.
We can't say anything. I get that. They don't. They have an NDA. They can't say anything. They'll get fired, etc., etc. I don't have that. I don't have an NDA. I don't work for anyone. So their deniability, the Pentagon's deniability is, that guy's a pharmacist. He's not an engineer. Don't listen to anything he's saying.
They've underestimated you, Robert. Completely underestimated you, because, and I'll tell you how, a little bit about me, right? Because I believe this. My channel has been created. Yeah, it's been created by me, but essentially I created my channel because of how many creators out there, in my opinion, and I say this very boldly, have done such a bad job with this topic. They've created me. I wouldn't be sat here, and I said this earlier on, if someone else was doing their job properly. And you are the only person that I know from a long, long time now that is doing the job properly to the best of your ability with what you've got, with the time you've got, with all the responsibility you have on top of your shoulders anyway. And that's why I've joined the fight, because what you've done, and this is why I say they've not taken you seriously, and they've actually let you off here. You've created me and a whole bunch of other people that are recording and analyzing, and then I've created a whole bunch of other people that are now recording and analyzing from all over the world. I've got people all over the world sending me stuff every day. That's down to you. That's down to you, Doc. So that's they've underestimated you, and they've made a grave mistake.
It's again, a lot of things had to come together. Yeah, I had to have a good understanding of science, etc., the funds, the time. I could tell you this, that it needs to be taken serious, because I do have a video from 6 years ago, and I could tell you 99% certainty a individual did show up, was down the it came on my neighborhood, came down the block, and was doing some recon on these dragons. And this individual, 99% of my opinion, was an asset of a foreign country, like a spy asset from a foreign country. So I recorded him. I recorded everything he did. And I got to tell you, that's probably the only time I was ever scared. Because my intuition said, this guy's for real. This guy is a foreign asset. And if this guy sees you recording him, this could go really bad. This could go really bad. But I stood my ground, and I kept my camera on him, and I got the perfect picture. Perfect. And he did everything right not to get caught. What do I mean by that? He parked around the corner. He walked up to the top of the hill where he could record these things. He reached in his coat. He actually took out a tripod. Who walks around with a tripod in their coat?
No intention at all. No intention at all. He was just going out for a coffee, Doc. I don't know what you're on about.
And he screws his camera on the tripod and takes pictures.
Yeah.
I'm like, this, and he did everything right. He was there for 2 minutes and got out of there. Then he walked back to his car, and I'm recording his face, and I'm like, and even though he was like a good 500 feet away, my camera just zoomed right in. I'm like, oh man, please don't look up at me, just please. And he's trained to look down, like not to look up, because never show your face. I'm surprised he didn't come in with a hat and sunglasses. But he didn't, and I got the... So my point is, if the government ever takes this serious, yeah, Robert, this is kind of interesting. If the government ever comes to me and says, Robert, we need your help. By the way, we have that video of that guy who was spying on these dragons. Just that one video alone, Robert. Just that one video, if you facial recognition, you can crack open a giant spy ring right here in the country. Giant. So my point is, take this serious, because other countries are doing that already. They're doing that already.
We think that we know a little bit because of the research we've done, but honestly, we don't really know where anyone is with this. There could be people in Scandinavia that have them landing and talking by now. We don't know, but whatever's going on, whatever the military are doing in the US at the moment, I guess over in Marina del Rey, where they're situating all the facilities right now and pushing all the military funding for this, I guess it's not working, right? For them to still be at it.
No, it's not working. They're still here. They're still police still show up every day. I mean, they're flying over the jetty rocks. They're chasing these things. Sometimes they lose their self-control and they violently chase these dragons as if they were flying a fighter jet. You know, with the roller coaster loops like this, they're flying their helicopter like that. They're like a temporary insanity where they're going to find these things. And I got all that on video.
Concerning that there could actually be an accident over this excitement for trying to.
Well, when you fly your helicopter that violently, again, I know they're engineered to tolerate the G forces. But a year ago, I had a LAPD. He came in from the ocean, 50 feet on the ground, and he came straight into the marina, if you can imagine this. And he was going as fast as his helicopter could go. He took it up to about 140, 150. He was 50 feet off the ground, and all of a sudden he pulls straight up like an arrow. I have it on video. He was determined to catch a dragon. And I got it all on video.
Wouldn't be surprised if his commanding chief in his ear was saying, "Do not abort," and he was just going for it. And I guess that would have been his 20th, 50th time up there, and he's just getting frustrated. You can imagine it, can't you?
Of course. And then he was going, "What are the odds of Robert recording me right now?" He's not. He can't be home all the time, and I'm not home all the time. I've lost a lot of good video, but I was home at that time, and sure enough, he came in like a fighter jet and then went straight up.
Unbelievable. I mean, respect to the pilot as well. He must love it, and at the same time have that oh shit moment when you're up there going that sort of speed and making them maneuvers. I can only imagine. But I mean, how long is it going to take before? I mean, what level of research do they need to get to before they go, you know what have we got to lose? Let's bring these guys in. What maybe they can help us.
What do we got to exactly? With all due respect to their agencies, to all the money they spend, to all the PhDs that they hire.
Yeah.
Put your pride aside and say, Robert, what can you tell us? What can you tell us? Robert, if you sign an NDA, we'll come and talk to you. Okay, I'm not going to sign an NDA. That'd be a betrayal to the public.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Like, just take my word for it that I won't just show everyone the highest of high tech, but we need to understand this, and if the only way we're going to do it is with open transparency, which this is what I'm saying, friend, anyone that's watching this that it may matter to. The end result is you get to a point, and then you go, well, let's just open this up now because we've learned all there is to it. And maybe there'll be more, but we're going to open this up. Well, just open it up at the start. You know, just open it up to us at the start. Maybe we can help. I mean, you figured out these things around. You figured out these things, what kind of speed they go at, the predictability of them. We've on my channel, I found stuff that some days I really wish I hadn't because I've lost too much sleep, just like that one the other night, right? But the energy pocket, what's that all about? You know, them having an energy pocket that they've placed in the sky somewhere, and then all of a sudden we're seeing the UFOs just zipping right through this energy pocket that they've left, and an orb follows up behind it, goes right through it. What this is now we're going on to the next level of these things are real to their capabilities, which is what we want to know, right? The capabilities so that we can try and understand whether we can bring them down or whether we can cool them down or we can, what you know, try and understand what we're dealing with. And I don't know how much they know. Maybe they know all of this and a little bit more, maybe.
A couple of things real quick. Another reason why I won't sign an NDA, because it applies to everything in the past. So all the information I got from the Air Force and the CIA and et cetera, that would automatically be an NDA. I'm not gonna, who would agree to that? That's nuts.
It's basically, well, they call it signing your soul away to the devil. because normally it comes with a chunk of money. Um, Hell, they'll give you a chunk of money just to read these things sometimes. And then once that you've read it and you've seen the money and that, and you've got a taste for it, that you know, people get weak and they sign away. And honestly, like, there's no need for an NDA. We're going to find out anyway, right? If they don't bring us on board, or if they don't bring someone on board that's going to find out, we're going to find out anyway. I mean,
We're
look
going
how
to
much
find
we
out.
found out already.
It's not stoppable at this point. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's not realistic.
No.
It's going to happen.
What would
And
be
then
nice, Glenn,
also,
is if our countries released this stuff first, right? I mean, why would they want to be last in this, in this
well,
discovery?
you know, again, you're right. If the UK, Australia, America, if they don't get ahead of this, Russia and China will publish a science paper. Just like Sputnik, 1957, when the Russians launched the first satellite and they beat the free world. That's a bad look. That's a bad look because, you know, they're saying, you know, Russia, our philosophy is more advanced. And look, we were able to put the satellite in space. Now, if they come along and publish a dragon paper, oh, brother, how are you going to get out of that? How are we going to top that?
When they've been spending
We're not,
years hiding it and denying it, for them to go, no,
we're
no,
not.
no, we were first, because everyone will know that they've just been denying it. So,
You know who's first? Whoever writes the paper. That's who's first. So, you know, I don't know. I'm not friends with any high political people. We got to get ahead of this. It's my concern again. China and Russia are going to write a paper, India or Pakistan, and that's it.
I mean, the way the world is now, that's a problem. And that's why Robert says it like it is, because the world doesn't work together like it should. So we don't want to have certain people with certain technologies over certain countries, because the world doesn't work, and it's not that happy place that we all grow up to think it is. Other countries do have specific agendas, and we have to keep on top of this. But if technologies come out and truth comes out and society changes over time and the world changes, then the next statement that will come out of Robert's mouth in a situation like this will be scientists from Britain, Japan, Germany, America have come together and have invented this because they should be working together. And it's not a problem which one makes the discovery first. They should be working together to make the discoveries for the world. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, we want to be the first countries to make the discoveries because it's just not a safe place to live in. And that's the sad truth of the matter, right?
Uh, I guess it really is. It's just where it's going, how it's going to unfold. Maybe they're hoping. You know what? Tomorrow the dragons will be gone forever. These UAPs will be gone, and we dodged a bullet. Now we don't have to explain anything.
Well,
But that's not realistic.
even if they
That's
stop flying today, there's so much evidence of what that we haven't picked up on. Accidental captures that go back all the way through. I don't know, when was the first dragon picked up? When was the first piece of evidence that you've seen?
got. I've got photos from 1932, Amelia Earhart.
I mean, that's a long time
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, and then a lot from World War II
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the UK. And by the way, don't forget, all hell broke loose 1943, or it was 1942 in February over Los Angeles, just a mile or two from
yeah,
where I'm at.
yeah,
The Battle of LA,
yeah.
very major, very, very major. It was a very big deal. Yeah, the Army searchlights, cannon, 2,000 cannon rounds. That was
Incredible.
that was that was incredible. Yeah, it's not going away. It's not going away. They've been here for quite. And of course, 1952 over Washington, D.C. That was next level too. The UFOs were there for 17 days, and not just one night, not for just
No,
for 10
no, it's
minutes.
a bit like what happened recently in November and December over New Jersey. Not so much the drone activity, but the lights that were being seen over here in the US bases over in the UK as well. Like we started seeing things, and it wasn't just one night; it was several nights before the drone started going up. And I'm not too sure what that was about. We could call that a psyop or whatever, but um, certainly something was going on, right? The Phoenix Lights. Maybe you could give us a little bit about. I mean, that was a one night thing, right?
It's funny you should say that. Yeah, ironically. Well, it's funny you should say the Phoenix Lights. So that was 1997. And my psychic friend, Glenn Falkenstein, he came to my pharmacy and just walked in. And believe me, this guy is just not some kind of psychic. It's just, I'm not even sure if he should have been on planet Earth. This is the level he was on. He walked in, he goes, "Hey, Robert, did you hear about those Phoenix Lights?" And I go, "Yeah, I did." And he goes, "What? Do you know why they were here?" I said, "Glenn, how would I know why they were here?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, they were here to send a message to the United Nations." And you know, Robert, I've had so many amazing opportunities, and I just let them go by me. I should have asked Glenn 100 questions. You know, where was the ship from? Who were they talking to? How many people were on the ship? 100 other vital questions. He would have answered it. He had the ability. He was omniscient. He could close his eyes. He could answer any question in the universe, any question. And I, but you know, being at the pharmacy and I'm busy and I'm trying to mail prescriptions out all over the country, I can't take 10 minutes to talk to the guy. So yeah, so 100% for certain, the Phoenix Lights, they were sending a message to the United Nations. And so someday, if the United Nations ever, they could talk about it. They're never going to confess. Now, really, what's God, it was mind-boggling is that in 1952, again, when the UFOs were over Washington, D.C., Glenn, one day he did say, "Robert, do you remember when the UFOs were over Washington, D.C., 1952? I said, "Yeah, Glenn, I do remember that. But how do you know about it?" Because at the time, I didn't really appreciate who this person is. He goes, "Well, I was there. I was at Andrews Air Force Base when those UFOs were hovering." Because Glenn was in the Air Force 1948 to 1952 in Iceland. And he really kept that kind of quiet. And I didn't know any better. I should have asked 100 questions. But basically, Glenn got discharged in July of 1952. They flew him back to Andrews Air Force Base. It took about 3 weeks for the discharge papers to get processed. And while Glenn was there, he saw all these UFOs showing up. So, being a time traveler, I realized what Glenn was doing. He was giving me a clue. He was saying the UFOs were not there to visit the White House. They were there to say hello to me. That's what was going on. Because Glenn was there for 21 days in July of 1952.
Wow.
He was there. They were just there out of politeness, out of respect, to say hello to Glenn. Because Glenn was, he was next level. He was on the level where a time traveler would come and visit him, up in and out, just to say hello. I got him to tell me about that. He was very reluctant, but he said, "Robert, I'll tell you a little bit. Yeah, this guy is." I said, "How did you meet this guy?" He goes, "Well, I did a radio show, 1974 at Universal Studios, right here in Los Angeles. And the guy came to visit me, and he introduced himself. He told me his name. Glenn did tell me his name, and he's a time traveler. He was doing research on the on on one of the framers from the Constitution. He was talking to one of the framers. I said, unbelievable. This is, yeah. He goes, yeah. I said, Glenn, why don't, and Glenn could see the future. So he was very reluctant to give me a lot of detail. But he told me who the framer was, and he told me the time traveler's name. I don't want to be the guy that screws things up in the future by, there's this called the butterfly effect, where you step on a butterfly and you screw up the future because the butterfly would have interacted with other people. But yeah, and for what it's worth, yeah, Glenn did tell me other interesting stuff. What I would like to somehow see when we come together, when we get enough people interested in these dragons, Glenn told me where there is a treasure buried in West Virginia.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
wow.
And yeah. And the treasure in today's value, uh, something like 2,000 pounds of gold and silver. It's astronomical. It's something crazy. And Glenn said where the treasure is buried. And so I know it's not realistic for me or anyone to go there and dig up this treasure. That's not going to happen. That's delusional. But I would like, on a national scale, a camera crew to go there and dig up the treasure and donate the money to charity. Because Glenn used his gift to generate money for children, for charity. And he used his gift to become a school teacher, Los Angeles school teacher, speech pathologist, where he worked with autistic children. He could easily communicate with them because he was telepathic.
Mm-hmm.
So he generated money for children's charities. And so I would like that treasure to go to children's charities. If we ever grow up as a society, of course, there's a lot of people that would like, Robert, no, I want to take the treasure myself.
I mean, what would you do with that sort of money anyway? I mean,
It's not realistic. It's
no,
not.
it's not. And all the Gucci in the world wouldn't make you happy. It'd make you comfortable, but it wouldn't make you happy. And I think a lot of rich people have found that out. A lot of celebrities have found out that money and fame doesn't always end well. And really keeping this up here insane uh, brain that we have sane is the hardest part, right? It's keeping that.
Let me tell you, and it's not secret. The name of the treasure is called the Beale treasure, and you can look it up later. Basically, it was written with 3 different books, code books. People have been working on this for 150 years, trying to figure out what code book to break the 3 codes. They were able to break one of the codes, and one of the codes they used the Declaration of Independence as a base code to figure out what's in the treasure, the contents of the treasure. The other code book is the exact location, and the third code is the name of the owners. So Glenn told me the name of the book for the location of the treasure. And it's very apropos because right now the name of the book is coming up a lot in the news accidentally. But again, I don't want to disclose the name of the book because there's one person that will say, you know what, I'm going to take him serious.
Yeah.
I have access to the computers. I have access to NSA computers. We're going to find this treasure. We'll keep the money ourselves. So not till we all agree that we will work together and donate the money to charity. I'm not going to give away the code book,
Fair
but
play.
it's
Yeah, I'd be the same.
yeah. But just to give you a clue, I've had a lot of luck on how I figured out these dragons. It wasn't just I walked into a gas station and bought a lotto ticket and won. I had to work hard. I had to do a lot of the science. And then I met a gifted person who gave me direction and answers. And it all led to to the here and now.
Yeah.
And again, Glenn Falkenstein, if you run his name in the CIA computers, you'll probably get fired. You probably will. He was in the Air Force 48 to 52. That's a spy base where they intercept cables, spy transmissions on the East Coast. It goes over the North Pole to Russia and China. That's where a lot of spy transmissions were. So they were intercepted. The thing is, from 48 to 52, if there was a transmission at 3 o'clock in the morning, for instance, and they just wrote down, let's say this was a blank piece of paper, and they just said, "Hey, Glenn, we have this blank piece of paper. We had a transmission at 3 in the morning. We can't figure it out." Glenn would go, "Okay, just give me the piece of paper." And he'd read off the whole message. It could be a message to the following spy information was recovered from the atomic facility from this person. This is the person who wrote it. This is the information we are transmitting. This is how far America has of the research. This is where they are at now. It was in detail. It was unbelievable detail. And Glenn was always 100% accurate. There was never one time Glenn would say, "I cannot answer that question," or "I cannot figure out the mystery, what you are asking me." There was never one time. So you can assume he deciphered thousands of codes for the NSA, for the CIA. And of course, they're never going to admit it. They're never going to give him the credit. So when you run his name, you'll get in a lot of trouble. To give you another clue, every Saturday they would have poker night at the Air Force Base in Iceland. And he would always have to be the dealer. He could not be a player. Why do you think that is? If you don't get it, I wouldn't have gotten it. When you hear the answer, it's going to be so obvious.
I mean, I'm guessing it's because he would know what cards everyone's going to have anyway, because he could just read their minds, right?
100%. So out of fairness, he always had to be the dealer, because he wasn't a cheat. He was very extremely honest.
Yeah.
So he just said, because the dealer, they play by house rules. The dealer can hit this card or not hit this card. There is no thinking on his part as a dealer.
No.
Yeah. I'll tell you another story, kind of interesting. 10 years ago, I was emailing this colonel in the Air Force. And this colonel was doing research on the paranormal. And he was like, "Robert, I know this is real. Just tell me everything you know. Tell me everything you know about your friend Glenn. I need all the information I can get." So this went back and forth for a few days. And I told him, I said, "Hey, this is going to sound weird, Colonel, but Glenn said there's going to be a problem at the airport with a VIP. And I think the exact message was Washington to port. Washington to port." So Glenn didn't indicate, was it Portland or airport? But I told the colonel that you better take this serious, because Glenn is never wrong. And sure enough, if you look on Google, 10 years ago, all the airports around the world, the triple security for 30 days. triple security. I think some VIP was going to get kidnapped, like a senator or a prime minister, something stupid was going to get kidnapped, and that never happened. So Glenn was able to stop that, but the colonel was able to take it seriously and put the word out. So check this out. So I said to the colonel, hey, why don't you, as a favor, run Glenn Falkenstein's name through the Intel computers. Let me know what the Air Force and the Navy have to say about him. And a few days later, basically, it's sad. Basically, a few days later, he said, Robert, I can never talk to you again. And that was it. He disappeared. All I said was run Glenn Falkenstein's name in the Intel computer.
You just
It's as if he got screamed at so loud. I said, fine, just, that's weird, whatever. I mean, they screamed at you that loud that you disappeared. I mean, he wanted to be my best friend forever. And so my point is, and there's much more. I know we're supposed to be talking about dragons and UFOs. In 1992, Glenn received an award, a very rare award in the people just thought he was a magician. They didn't take it serious. It was real. Well, there's a very rare achievement in the magic world. I don't even think they do it anymore. It was called the Dragon Award. Whoever is the most gifted mentalist, and there's only been 5 or 6 people, and I've researched the other 5 or 6 people, and they're not on Glenn's category. They're not in his orbit. But they gave Glenn the 1992 Dragon Award for mental achievement, the best at mastering the art. The only thing is, it wasn't a trick.
No.
Yeah, he had a radio show again in 1974 where about 600 people would come into the audience and he'd put on a show. And he always left the front aisle open for skeptics. He said, I want the skeptics to have the best seat. That way they can ask the questions. And sure enough, I mean, he recorded every single show. I have all the tapes. I've gone through half of the tapes. This is just what's some of the things that would happen. This one guy called in. People would ask in the audience, and then you could call in.
Right.
And between 10 and 20,000 phone calls would come in 3 hours. And one phone call, this one guy said, Glenn, he goes, yeah, and this guy screaming on the phone at Glenn. He says, Glenn, I don't believe anything you're doing. I don't believe it. And he says, Glenn, if you're real right now, without hesitation, you tell me where I'm at. I'm somewhere in Southern California. You tell me where I'm at right now. And Glenn goes, okay. Are you calling me from a phone booth in Long Beach, California? Did you spend the day with your family at Disneyland? Click. Freaked the guy out. I have that on tape. He freaked out.
Yeah.
Another time, he said, I want the skeptics in the front. I'm going to walk up to there's 7 chairs. I'm going to walk up to the first person. He said, all of you, you don't believe anything I'm doing. Nope, not anything. Nope, I don't believe it. I don't understand it. I don't believe it. It's not real. He goes, okay. Is this your name? Is this where you live? Is this your social security number? Is this your birthday? Is this your phone number? Is this where you went to school? Is this what you do for work? Is this the name of your boss? Is this your bank account? Is this where you buy your food at? The lady goes, yeah, all of it's true. He goes to the second one, repeats the same thing. The second person goes, yeah, all of it's true. That's correct. He goes to the third person. The third person jumps out of the seat and runs out. And at the same time, The other 6 people, they get up and they run out.
Freaked him.
Yeah.
This reminds me of my
Freak.
friend Karen, because she said that she learnt this mistake very early on. And when she was a school kid, she used to see her friend at school and she used to tell her friend what her other friends that were on the way to school would be wearing, so that when they walked around the corner, they would be wearing exactly those clothes. And eventually she scared a few of her friends to the point where she realized she had to stop doing that, because they couldn't comprehend what she was able to do even as young as a teenager. And it sounds crazy, but some people, well, apparently everyone's capable, but some people have just mastered it, or have that natural ability, and
It's
it's all part of what we're talking about. It's all connected.
it's all part.
Yeah.
And probably one of the best was at the radio show. Uh, this lady called in. And she says, "Hi, Glenn. Hi." He goes, "Hi." He goes, "Wait a minute. I talked to you before, didn't I?" She goes, "Yes, I did. I wanted to call and thank you. I called you last month. My sister was missing, and I was very nervous. And I asked for your help. And you told me my sister was living at this address in San Francisco. And we went there and we realized that's where my aunt lived, and she was living with my aunt. I found my sister." And she said, "Thank you, Glenn." And Glenn goes, "Yeah, no problem. Call anytime that happens. Call anytime somebody's missing. You can call anytime that."
Unbelievable.
When I get the time, I'm going to post all his radio shows.
I think
Believe me.
if he's done what he's done, you need to, because the people should know who he was and who he is and what he's achieved. And I think more and more stories will pop up like this as the year goes on, because of what's going on. And I mean, what do you think? What do you expect to happen with? I mean, you're living in America. Congress are doing what they're doing. They're obviously pushing for this, right? Otherwise, they just wouldn't bring it up. I mean,
Correct.
what's your view? What's going on over there?
I believe they're going to release it all. I get it. It's overwhelming, and there's thousands of photographs of saucers and eyewitnesses. Now, the concept of dragons is still super new. Of course, everyone in the Pentagon knows about it. They're just the Pentagon. There's a 10%, 15% of the generals are positive these are demons, and uh, and they're not going to tell Congress. They're not going to hand over the information. Uh, the thing is, a lot of this information was from Glenn. Glenn pointed me in the right direction. And Glenn was very godlike, very angelic. So these are not demons.
Hmm.
Glenn would not expose me to that. So the generals got it wrong. These are not demons. There's something very real happening. But to answer your question, yeah, Congress, you really can't keep these dragons secret much longer. Maybe in the next 12 months, they're going to make an announcement. There's something going on. There's these very small UAPs. They're popping up. They're on radar. Again, 2 years ago, the Pentagon gave Congress the characteristics, information of UAPs. And they already said these dragons trigger X-band radar and they go 2,000 miles an hour. The Pentagon already admitted that.
Already confirmed what you've already shown the public time and time again every week. Uh,
Right.
but they've confirmed it on over a closed network. They've not exactly publicized this on the news and given it the big headlines. They've just released a paper or a document, or announced it somewhere in a very small section of somewhere, and that's it. It's not uh it's not something that's spoken about, but I guess it's a tick box exercise, right?
It's not spoken, but there's no hiding it anymore. It is what it is. It's just You're going to just have to just put it behind you. Just confess and put it behind you. The people of the world are not going to scream at their government. They're not. They're going to be understanding.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go, look, we realized you thought you were doing the right thing. Maybe you weren't lying to us. You just weren't telling us anything. But we're entitled. The future is here. It's 2025. Science is happening fast. We're making all these rocket ships. We got all these advanced radios, these cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
The future is happening. We want to be part of the future. We don't want to live in 1950 anymore. We want to live in 2050.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to get there.
Not only on the basis that these things are in the skies and we want to know, they're actually down here with us, on our level, flying right past our bodies, our heads, over our houses. So we have the right to know. You know, just on the basis of personal space, we have the right to know. So really on a basic level.
I found that video you were just talking about. I found one in Chicago with the Blue Angels. Basically, a dragon came down the sidewalk, flew by a guy's ankle, stopped behind this woman's back, and took off. All on video. Perfect. Just,
yeah. And we don't know. We don't know if being close to these things could give us something wrong later on through radio waves or anything, any kind of thing that these things emit, which might not be good for us, or vice versa. Maybe they can't come out of their shell because what our atmosphere might not be good for them, but we need to find this stuff out so that we can learn the communication, because clearly they're trying to show themselves without freaking out the public too much. Yeah, I mean,
well, yeah, we need to do the research where these things fly up to our instruments and we can calculate how much radiation is involved. And then we'll be able to tell you, because there's no such thing as a safe level of radiation.
no.
It's just what's acceptable.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor, you get an X-ray, they say it's acceptable. They don't say it's safe. So we need to know, is it safe, acceptable, or dangerous?
Yes. That's the first step
And
before we even want to get near these things, is try and find that.
Yeah, I don't want them around me or you or anyone. It's just, no. Until we know for sure, stay away. Just don't come within 10 feet of us. But they do. They get pretty close.
They really do. Yeah.
They get pretty, and it's
also,
a real concern.
You know what the CIA have, what kind of techniques they could use? I mean, nowadays they'd only need to brush up against someone's skin with a powder on their clothes, and they could probably infect someone with something like, you know, Russian agents that get paid to kill will have techniques where they can kill someone without putting a bullet into someone's head, you know. And I'm sure that if these things really wanted to, if they wanted to, I'm not saying that's their intention, but they could just sit in the oceans and just touch up on everyone's feet as they're paddling in the shallow waters there, and we wouldn't know a thing. And they could put anything into our bloodstream, and we just wouldn't know, whether it be good, bad, changing. It's a worry. It really is a concern.
It's a real concern. Again, that's why I say we got to take it serious, and we need the help from all the universities, all the higher ups. Take this serious, put it out in the open. Stop this top secret thing. Okay, you want a patent, then go get your patent. You want to make money, go make your money. Fine. Just put this in the open. Just tell us, are we in danger? Are we safe?
If they don't know, give us the tools and the space and the research time, and be open so that we can try and help globally. When I say we, I mean everyone. It's really important. I hope that the message is delivered and that they receive what we're trying to say, Robert.
If we keep planting seeds, it will get to them. It will. It's will. You know, I think the Bible says that if somebody's knocking on your door at 3 a.m, they keep knocking, eventually you're going to open and answer. But we got to keep planting those seeds, keep knocking on the door. Reluctantly, the government will say, fine, fine. Here's your dragon disclosure. Okay, go run with it. Knock yourself out. They will. We just don't surrender, don't give up.
I mean, even from a
Right?
financial perspective, they're going to save in the long run, aren't they? They're going to save in the long
Oh,
run because when you add people to the team and add people to the team, different perspectives, different angles, you find more stuff out a lot quicker. And we're going to save in the long run. They're going to save time just by adding people to the list of helping uh, solve this mystery. And we've
yes,
got
you will.
7, 8 years of research that you've done that they could quite easily pick up on and try and find similarities to what they're seeing now in real time and try and work this out. Never mind the rest of the world. Uh, Everyone that's filming now that we've encouraged to do so, they're capturing stuff that we could only dream of.
Maybe as a compromise, maybe I could put out in, uh, okay, so you don't want to, maybe if you're the government, you don't want to tell the whole world. Okay, reach out to uh, 1,000 dragon researchers, the serious ones like you and I. Just reach out to us. Don't ask us to sign no NDA, but but a gentleman's agreement. Okay, I'll say a lot less. All right. If you're honest with me, I'll be honest with you. I'll say a lot less. Let's work together because when you have 1,000 people, you're going to make a lot more advancements quickly. It's going to happen. And besides, again, it's going to get out one way or the other.
It's
It's
inevitable.
not real.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. So as a compromise, approach 1,000 of your best researchers. We can really speed things up for the government really quickly, really quickly. I know the engineers at the industrial complex are brilliant. We can help them run even faster. We really can.
Amazingly, I believe you. And like I say, it's not that we want to discourage people from doing this or we don't want to crap on anyone's diplomas and degrees. Like I said, I'm thankful that they've done what they've done, and we have been in an age now where computers are what they are. They've gone from tiny screens to big screens back to small screens. Now we like big again. Um, I'm just wondering where the next step is, and this is it. This is going from what we can now capture and see to the new age of development, and we've only got science to thank for that. But we want to thank them again for taking another step and for reeling in that ego and just taking that extra step to find out more. I challenge people: who wants to be the first scientist to figure this out? I'm sure there's everyone out there would be raising their hand if they were honest with each other. So I feel like that's what we need to do.
It's just unfortunate. A lot of the scientists are going, "Oh, well, I can't put my name on this, Robert. I'll lose all my credibility. I'll be swimming against the current. Oh, I'll lose my job." And guys, there's no guesswork here. It's been done. This is not theoretical.
Yeah.
It's this is this building is like done. It's not that it's not like this building can be built. This building has been built. Do you want to move in? Do you want to live outside?
Yeah. I mean,
So
the real box is checked. Real check. Now
let's check.
accept and understand it. And if you don't accept it now and this gets announced, then you're going to look bad for just not, for the scientists that we rely on to not accept what you're seeing is a big deal because we need competent people to make judgments for us, right? And to do the measurements for us. So, uh, yeah, I think we're at a turning point. The turning point needs to be this year. And like you've said this before, we're only losing time for not looking at this more seriously. And
We're
I think,
losing. We're losing out. We're losing. It's
yeah,
I can tell you, I've had a lot of good opportunities presented to me, and I've left it on the table. And looking back, I wish I hadn't. Uh, so to the scientists there, this is on the table. Don't walk away from it. You're going to regret it later.
yeah.
You're
Even if you
you're
don't want smelly old me in your office somewhere, give me a truck, give me a radar detector, give me some fuel, and I'll be on my way, and I'll come back with some data for you. How about that? I mean, I'll go out there and do the legwork. We need to make that happen somehow. I think it's going to happen regardless of whether we get their help or not, Doc. But we've got to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Brilliant. Let's wrap it up there. We've been going for just over an hour and a bit. I think we've covered quite a lot, and we can do this as much as you like, Doc. I mean, I'll happily have you on my show as often as you want. I think our discussions will lead somewhere eventually, and we're just going to keep digging, right, and keep finding stuff.
100%. And we'll come back in, say, like a month or two when I accumulate more data. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for listening. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, please shoot them in the comments. Me and Doc will be on top of it. We'll try and answer as much as we can.
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you.